Are you constantly feeling anxious, overwhelmed by a world that never stops screaming? Do you find it hard to connect with people, or feel like your life is just a series of reactions to digital notifications? You aren't alone. Modern life is a psychological minefield, but there is an ancient way out. Stoicism isn't just about reading dusty books. It's a practical manual for living that bridges the gap between ancient wisdom and modern neuroscience. Today, we aren't just talking about theory. We are building a 10-point blueprint for your evolution. We will explore the pillars that will transform your chaos into order, starting with the very first moment your consciousness returns to the world. To master your life, you must first master the transition from sleep to action. Marcus Aurelius famously reminded himself, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work,' as a human being." Most people start their day in a reactive state. The first thing they do is reach for their phone, flooding their brain with cortisol and cheap dopamine before they've even taken a breath. Psychologically, this trains your mind to be a slave to external events. A Stoic morning is different. It is a period of intentional silence. By avoiding the screen for the first hour, you allow your brain to transition naturally through its alpha and theta waves, fostering deep clarity. This is your time to set your internal compass. When you start the day on your terms, not the world's, you build a foundation of autonomy that lasts until the sun goes down. The Stoics believed that the soul and body were deeply intertwined. Musonius Rufus, the teacher of Epictetus, argued that a philosopher must train the body to endure hardship so the mind remains unshakable. In our modern, sedentary world, physical exercise is the ultimate form of voluntary discomfort. When you lift weights, run, or endure a cold shower, you aren't just building muscle, you are recalibrating your nervous system. Psychologically, intense physical exertion is the most effective way to flush cortisol, the stress hormone, from your system. It triggers the release of BDNF, a protein that repairs brain cells and improves cognitive function. By choosing to struggle in the gym, you train your brain to handle the struggles of life. If you cannot command your body to move when it's tired, you will never have the authority to command your mind when it's afraid. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid regarding external things." In the 21st century, this means having the courage to be unreachable. We are currently living through a crisis of attention. Every app on your phone is designed by psychologists to hijack your dopamine system, keeping you in a state of continuous partial attention. This constant digital noise creates a background hum of anxiety and prevents deep, meaningful thought. To grow, you must build a digital fortress, set strict boundaries on your screen time, and embrace the fear of missing out. Psychologically, reducing your digital intake allows your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic and long-term goals, to regain control over the impulsive amygdala. Your attention is your most valuable resource. Stop spending it on people and dramas that don't contribute to your character. Seneca once remarked that we should take wandering walks in the open air so that the mind can expand and be refreshed. In our concrete jungles, we have become disconnected from the very rhythms that shaped our biology. Psychologically, spending time in nature triggers what is known as attention restoration theory. While city life drains your cognitive energy, the natural world allows your brain to recover from directed attention fatigue. Meditation, or even a simple walk in the woods without headphones, shifts your nervous system from a state of fight or flight to rest and digest. By observing the vastness of the sky or the stillness of a tree, you practice the Stoic exercise of the view from above. realizing that your personal anxieties are small compared to the cosmic whole. Silence is not an empty space. It is a powerful tool for self-reflection. One of the hardest Stoic lessons to master is the refusal to seek external validation. Marcus Aurelius asked how much time he gains who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does. Psychologically, we are wired for social belonging, which often leads to the spotlight effect, the false belief that everyone is constantly judging us. This creates a paralyzing need to conform. To evolve, you must audit your social circle. Are you surrounding yourself with people who challenge your character, or those who merely feed your insecurities? The Stoic chooses social sovereignty, being content with your own approval. When you stop performing for an audience that doesn't genuinely care about you, you reclaim the energy wasted on social masking. True connection is built on shared values and mutual growth, not on how many people like the filtered version of your life. Epictetus, who was born a slave, taught that the only thing we truly own is our paralysis, our ability to choose our response to external events. Psychologically, this is the shift from an external to an internal locus of control. Most of our anxiety in relationships and work comes from trying to control things we can't. Someone else's mood, the traffic, or the outcome of a project. When you focus on what you cannot influence, you become a victim of your environment. But when you narrow your focus strictly to your own thoughts and actions, you become invincible. In cognitive behavioral therapy, this is known as cognitive reframing. By constantly asking yourself, is this within my control? You stop leaking mental energy into the void and start investing it where it actually makes a difference, within yourself. Seneca wrote that we are in the habit of saying that it was not in our power to choose the parents who were allotted to us, but we can choose whose children we would like to be. He was talking about books. In a world of 15-second videos and superficial content, deep reading is a form of mental weightlifting. Psychologically, reading high-quality philosophy and literature strengthens your cognitive reserve and builds neuroplasticity. It allows you to have a private conversation with the greatest minds in history. When you read Marcus Aurelius or Seneca, you aren't just absorbing information, you are adopting their neural pathways and their resilience. Make it a habit to replace mindless consumption with intentional study. If you feed your mind junk, your thoughts will be weak. If you feed your mind wisdom, your character will become unshakable. Seneca famously practiced a nightly review, asking himself, what ailment have you cured today? What failing have you resisted? Where can you improve? Psychologically, this is called metacognition, thinking about your thinking. Most people carry the stress of their mistakes into their sleep, allowing unresolved issues to fester in their subconscious. By journaling or reflecting before bed, you perform a mental data dump. This practice lowers your cognitive load and reduces anxiety by externalizing your thoughts. It's not about self-criticism, it's about objective observation. When you audit your day, you transition from being a victim of your circumstances to being the scientist of your own life. You close the open loops of the day, allowing your brain to enter a state of true rest. To grow, you must respect the transition from action to stillness. Modern science confirms what the Stoics intuitively knew. Your environment dictates your state of mind. A slow evening, free from blue light and overstimulation, is essential for mental health. Psychologically, artificial light at night suppresses melatonin and keeps your brain in a state of high alertness, which is the enemy of recovery. The Stoic practice of winding down isn't laziness, it is strategic replenishment. By putting away your screens 2 hours before bed, You reclaim your inner world. Read, talk to a loved one, or simply sit in the dim light. This intentional deceleration trains your nervous system to feel safe. If you end your day in a state of digital chaos, you will wake up in a state of mental exhaustion. Protect the end of your day as if it were a sacred fortress. We conclude with the most powerful psychological weapon in the Stoic arsenal, Amor Fati, or the love of fate. Nietzsche called it the formula for human greatness. It means not just tolerating reality, but embracing it entirely. Psychologically, resistance to what has already happened is the primary source of human misery. We burn immense mental energy wishing things were different, which leaves us too exhausted to change what we actually can. By accepting every obstacle, every betrayal, every failure as necessary fuel for your growth, you become truly invincible. These 10 pillars are not a checklist, they are a lifestyle. Evolution is not a destination. It is the daily act of forging yourself in the silence of your own discipline. The world will try to break your focus, but you now have the blueprint. Take a deep breath, stop drifting, and start sailing.